Hello, welcome to Watch the Game podcast. I'm your boy L.A. Cheatham.
And I'm sipping on something brown Benjamin Banner.
Yeah, we're going to need a lot of this tonight, man, after the Rams lose this game. But for some strange reason, I'm not all that upset. I'm a little concerned on how the game and the reason for the loss is going to be perceived. Because like I told you earlier, I just didn't want people to say this was Justin's fault.
And that turnover, it's gonna give him some ammunition. But I mean, I'm bothered just because we lost to the Packers. That's it.
I mean, as you can tell, the mood is kind of down, but it's not as bad as it seemed. 1-1.
And we got primetime blue on, so but I mean, yeah, it's just the Packers. It's just that I'm sick of them. I'm sick of them.
In all due respect, I'm upset that they lost the game, but thing is, we don't have a difference maker on the field. And the difference maker on the field wasn't necessarily Aaron Rodgers, but they beat us to the running game. And as much as a lot of fans are going to look at what Justin did or did not do, the point of the matter is the Bears couldn't stop the run in the first half.
Right, and that second quarter, what we gave up, they scored 3 times, 21 points. That was the game right there, and it was all on the run. We shut that down, and maybe, we having a different conversation right now, but I mean, I was proud of the team that they fought, because I was easily thinking at halftime, like, man, they could just mail this in and just go ahead and go home. But they came back and fought, they made it a game. It was a controversial, play call in the third quarter that could have really tightened things up, but we'll get into that. But all in all, my overall takeaway is, David Montgomery was rolling tonight. He was rolling. Feed him.
Yeah, give David Montgomery the football. As bad as we want Justin to be the hero, go to what's working. David Montgomery in the third quarter came out and he made a statement. He showed, I want to win this game. And the one play that he had that pretty much let the coaching staff where they should have knew this guy's playing on a certain level tonight was second and 20. Second and 23 or 28, was it?
Second and 20.
Second and 20. He picks up the first down on the ground. They go all the way down. They get down to the goal line. Now, don't get me wrong. Justin had a gallant effort down towards the goal line when they said his knee was down and he was short of the goal line. But at that point, it's go back to David Montgomery or even Khalil Herbert after he showed the way he can run. He showed on a couple plays that he can run tough. And even if you're going to take a chance on a blasting game, the fullback, pull the fullback in there, let him find the hole, and let the back get behind him. Either Khalil Herbert or David Montgomery. Horrible play call, and then you consider the fact that they even went shotgun down on the goal line in that situation.
That should be outlawed. That should be outlawed in the NFL across the league. Like if you inside the 5-yard line, especially in that situation, we was less than a yard away. You snap the ball back further than you had to go forward to get the touchdown. Like that makes no sense to me. That's asinine. That's hustling backwards right there. That was what we call a Nagyism.
Nagyism. That's exactly what I called it.
That was the ghost of Matt Nagy showing up in the playbook because that was fourth down. You went
fourth down, 4th and 1, went in shotgun. You only needed a couple inches, and on top of that, on the day in which Trey Lance gets injured and injures his ankle, and he's out for the season, and then you go out and you run that play, taking a chance when, don't get me wrong, in space, I can live with Justin Fields in short yardage. But not at the goal line when you just need to get a half inch, because at that point, you're telling him to stick his head in there. He could have came out of there with anything, a concussion. Don't put Justin Fields in harm's way. Yeah. That's why I didn't like it.
Yeah, and I think the play where he stretched and hit the pylon, that play came as a result of it was a pass, nothing was there. Then he escaped the pocket and tried to make something happen. I'm fine with those. Totally fine with those. But just that shotgun, he didn't have no, it wasn't even a pistol. It was shotgun, just go do it. It wasn't, he didn't even try and jump over the top.
I don't want him jumping over the top. Not him.
Well, I was saying in that moment, give it to Montgomery over the top, and let's go. And we saw the replay where he had the space to the right, but he went to the left. But again, he's in the shotgun, so he's like, I just got to get there. I got to get. And he probably did get there from what we saw on the replay. It looked like that ball crossed the plane. All they got to do is touch the line, and that's a touchdown. But as it was called on the field, it was not a touchdown. They wasn't going to overturn that. I know he was in Lambeau Field, but they ain't even got nothing to do with it. What they called on the field was not a touchdown. It wasn't inconclusive evidence, so they had to stick with what they went with. But you score right there, you give the Packers something to think about. It's a different ballgame. It's a totally different ballgame.
That's a game changer. I thought at that point the defense had put them back in position to get back in the game with a turnover, and even late in the game, and I felt like we really needed that. And it really wasn't anything the defense even called. I think it was just a miss handoff attempt between Aaron Rodgers and his tailback. But nevertheless, there was an opportunity blown, and more so an opportunity taken away, because I believe in my heart of hearts that was a touchdown. And I believe the national media is going to be really critical of that one play in days to come as we get ready for week 3.
Yeah, and then looking at going to the defensive side of the ball, well, we talked about it earlier. That second quarter was just atrocious. We just like, can y'all tackle? Can y'all tackle? And when we got into the second half, when the defense started playing better and they got the turnover, it wasn't nothing they did to cause the turnover. We like, okay, that'll give them some momentum. We can get rolling with that. But when we had to have that stop after we didn't get the quote-unquote touchdown, Eddie Jackson, what was he doing?
Yeah, and you talk about was they supposed to be a cover 2 scheme. Looking back at that play, it's kind of hard to figure out actually what they were in at that point. But now that you point that out, they went at Gordon quite a bit tonight. And I asked you at one point while we were watching the game, is Jalen Johnson on the field? Because I don't know if they took him any shots at Jalen. A lot of the big plays were made on Vildor and Gordon. They really, Aaron Rodgers really exploited them guys. Now, when you talk about the defense in the first half, they were getting pressure on Aaron Rodgers. And I think the Packers did a good job of adjusting to the pressure, because they were just getting a lot of quick stuff underneath, letting them, okay, since we can't stop the pass rush, we're not going to be able to get the deep threats until we can just break up the timing of the pass rush.
Right.
And when you got those 2 touchdowns by, I think it was Rodgers, down on the goal line, he had 2 touchdowns.
Aaron Jones had
Aaron Jones had 2 touchdowns on the goal line of 2 different variations. One was a toss, and one was just a little dump.
Pretty much the same play,
Yeah,
but it was
it's
a pop pass and a toss. Yeah.
But I think those plays were created because of the pass rush was doing so well. They couldn't get Rodgers' timing down, and they just hit him with the quick stuff underneath. Boom, boom, 2 touchdowns. Now, after they did that, then the passing game pretty opened up, and then that's when they started to pick on Gordon and Vildor a little bit.
Yeah. I mean, Aaron finished with Aaron Rodgers. That is finished with 234 yards. But as we was watching that game, it didn't feel like 234 yards. He threw for that much. Yeah. Now he had some timely plays or whatnot, like the play we were just talking about where Eddie Jackson was too far close to the line. That was a big play, but he didn't really have any explosive plays. So the defense, the back end, I thought played well, except for, I'm not even gonna say the rookie. What's his name? Gordon.
Gordon got hit tonight.
I ain't gonna say he didn't play well. Just inexperienced.
Yeah.
We going up against a 4-time MVP. He took advantage of that matchup. I'm not gonna say he played bad.
No, I wouldn't say that either, but he most definitely got exposed. And the thing about it is, this was his second NFL game. What does he take from that? I mean, because it's the thing. You're going out there, you get exploited by a Hall of Famer. Okay? I know they're the Packers, but you got to give the man some respect. Over all the years, I've gained a lot of respect for Aaron Rodgers, what he do on the football field. the things I seen on the field tonight, I pretty much expected. It was whether or not the Bears can make the other guys make mistakes. And outside of that one fumble, which was a
Well, they fumbled twice.
Okay.
We can get the second one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So after the botch, you really didn't make anything else happen. No interceptions. Didn't really cause no peanut punch plays, nothing like that. Didn't strip, none of that. They took very good care of the football in traffic. So like I said, the Packers got the running game going first. This was not Aaron Rodgers owning the Bears tonight. That's not what it was. It was the Bears not being able to stop the run on defense. And then I'm pretty sure if you look at it, you look at the tape later on, there's going to be some plays that got away from Justin Fields that he didn't execute on. I'm pretty sure that you're going to see that as the week go on. You're going to see that. And if you have an opportunity to look at the all-22 when you talk about how you're breaking the game down. But I'm not going to put this on Justin Fields. I'm going to put this on the inability to stop the run. The inability to stop the run. And when they did have success running the football with David Montgomery, when it was time to stick with it, they did not do it. That's what this game came down to. Also, the blown call on the goal line, which we all think was a touchdown. You can't take that away. It was a bad play call, but the end result
was a touchdown.
Was a touchdown, nevertheless.
And that's not even us being biased. We saw a touchdown. Even the commentators were saying they think that was a touchdown. So we not even being homers on that. I'm gonna point out too. We mentioned the bad call, but I was saying in the third quarter when we was down what, 2 scores, 3 scores?
Yeah.
And we had some momentum. We gotta go quicker.
It was 24-10 for a while when we still had an opportunity to get in there and make some plays. And at that time we needed something to happen. It happened with the turnover, but didn't get the touchdown. They took the touchdown away.
Right.
That was big.
But I didn't see the sense of urgency. I mean, we had them on the ropes. Let's keep pounding them before they know it's hit them. We done scored, and we got enough time to get a stop, and then maybe we got Justin with 5 minutes left to try and get a game time score or something like that. So I was disappointed in the clock management just a little bit. I know this is a new regime, new first time head coach. I'm not going to kill him for that, but I would have liked to have seen just a little bit more urgency in that, because the clock is not your friend at that point.
No. I believe when you talk about that is still the Bears still figuring out what their identity is, it was plain to see tonight what they should have did to win. Like you said, a new regime, a new coaching style. Not being around David Montgomery long enough to trust him to finish that game, as after he had just showed that he really wanted to finish that game. That he wanted to. He seemed like he was motivated based off last week's performance, and I saw that tonight.
Yeah.
They didn't ride his wave. They didn't jump on his shoulders and let him finish tonight. But you talk about a team that's establishing an identity, and I believe they got a little conservative at times. Maybe at times sometimes they ask Justin to do a little bit too much on a couple of plays. That's just how I see it pretty much. Now, my positives for this is against a lot of teams in the NFL. Did they play well enough to win? Probably not, because if you can't stop the run,
you give up 21 points in the quarter, you probably gonna lose.
You're gonna lose if you can't stop the run. I don't give a damn who the quarterback is. If Aaron Rodgers or Cooper Rush, if you can't stop the run, you're not going to be successful. Because especially coming from behind, because the clock is going to keep ticking down. And most definitely, if you find some success running the damn ball, run the damn ball, and don't put your quarterback in position to get hurt.
Yeah,
pretty much point blank.
And I think from the 2 takeaways what we've seen in both games at this point is now we need to see the Bears kind of put more of a complete game together versus the 49ers. The first half was a stinker. The second half we won that game. tonight, like we said, you give up 21 points in the second quarter, you're probably not going to win that game. It kind of, the wheels kind of fell off after, again, we didn't get the touchdown call. It kind of fell off then. So now what you want to see is these guys come back versus the Texans and kind of put more of a complete game together. I don't know if we at the point where we can expect a complete game from this team yet, but you want to see a strong 42 minutes of football, and we ain't even got close to that yet.
Well, when you go back to the 49ers game, you go back to the poor first half, I got to get back to the conservative play calling, the safe play calling. And then in the 49ers game, what they did was they made the adjustments. And right when they made the adjustments, they had some success, and then the weather kind of took over. Mm-hmm. And that had a lot to do with them winning against beating the 49ers as well. But tonight, I found myself saying, okay, it's the second half. Where would the second half adjustments come? Now, offensively, they made the right adjustments, just didn't finish the game the way that they started the second half, running the football. Listen, I'm going to say this again. I know we want to see Justin Fields be the reason that they win. But if you look on the other side of the field, Aaron Rodgers was not the reason why the Packers won tonight. The point is, get the win no matter how, no matter what. Okay, be disciplined. And if you look around the league, some very interesting matchups today throughout the league. Mm-hmm. Tom Brady, a lot of consider the GOAT. He struggled in New Orleans today.
Which he always does versus the Saints, yeah.
But they found a way to win the football game. It wasn't about putting the game in Tom Brady's hands. Even though we know he's good enough to do that. It just found a way to win. Justin Fields has not played in this league enough to say, put the game in his hand. He did everything within his power when he tried to stretch out at the goal line. He had made enough plays to win this game. Mm-hmm. You know, just finish the damn game with the run game, stop the run, and I think we got a different outcome.
Yeah, and then just looking at, other than David Montgomery and Khalil Herbert, who showed up offensively? Who helped Justin out? Because we just said, Justin probably can't be the reason that you win right now. So in that scenario, you need other guys to make a play. We ain't asking you to be world beaters, but just make a play. And EQ, 2 catches, 39 yards. David Montgomery, 2 catches, 14 yards. Khalil Herbert, 1 catch, 3 yards. Mooney, that's who was, I guess, touted to be the number 1 wide receiver. 1 catch, -4 yards.
I'm not big on Mooney being the primary guy to go to. I would like to see Justin Fields, share the load with the receivers, because the team still doesn't have an identity. There's no reason to force feed Mooney. But now that you say other weapons, it's week 2. Where is Cole Kmet? Shouldn't he be down there on the goal line?
I know he got a target. He has no catches, no receiving yards. I know he got a target.
Okay, so I need Cole Kmet to be a more integral part of this offense, because he's young and he should be able to get the job done. I think he's in his 3rd season. This is the time to see what you got in Cole Kmet. Now, I don't want to be down about this. Like I said, it's a lot of football to be played. Got the Texans coming in next week. Very winnable game. I'm hoping that the Bears coaching staff and the players learned a lot from this game. I'm hoping that they can, when David Montgomery or whatever the matchup is, stick with the winning matchup. They didn't do it tonight. When they had a chance to make a game of it, they did not do it. Point blank, out-coached. Aaron Rodgers, Packers go out there, they figured out a matchup outside of the running game that was working for them. They picked on Gordon, and they got the job done. Bear fans, there's no reason to really be down about it. I know this is the Packers. I know it's the Packers. I would have loved to see the Bears beat the Packers. But
In Lambeau.
Exactly. But had the Bears beat the Packers tonight in Lambeau, the chances of them going to the Super Bowl do not increase in my mind. I'm just being honest. I want to be honest. I'm a Bear fan. I love the Bears, but I just want to be honest.
Yeah.
If they beat the Packers tonight, it would have been great. I would have had another shot. But it does not tell me that they're that close, that much closer to being a Super Bowl team. We are still figuring out who this team is. The coaches are still figuring out who they are, and I'm gonna rest with that one. And like I said, I'm not gonna get too down about this because I feel really good about next week. If we look back on this game, they played pretty much a clean game.
I don't think it was much penalties.
Not a lot of penalties. Justin had a play where he kind of overstepped. He got past the line of scrimmage and threw a pass. But I think he can learn from that. He took an assertive effort tonight to find EQ.
He did.
He did,
and that's why he got picked off.
Yeah. That's why he got picked off. But Justin has to learn from this. Looking forward to the Texans next week.
See, I take these Packers-Bears games. That's like a complete one-off from the season. Like, the season is the season, but when we play the Packers, like, that's a totally different entity for me. And especially just with the comments that Aaron Rodgers made last year, I still own you. Like I want to get some get back on that dude. I respect the hell out of him, but I want to get some get back on that dude. So this could have been week 17, and we could have been, 1-15. I would still feel the exact same way that I feel right now because I'm just tired of losing it.
I know you can beat the Packers twice a year and lose 15 games, and you probably feel good about beating the Packers. But like I said, I just get into this thing where my experience in coaching has really set me up to be a more patient fan with my expectations of what's in front of me, because I don't give a damn what you say. When you get out coach, you get out coach. Experience matters, and that's what happened tonight. The Bears coaching staff has less experience than the Packers coaching staff. They had the best player on the field. You talk about the quarterback position, and they figured out what worked. What worked tonight was the Bears couldn't stop the run, and we couldn't make a play on offense that really mattered. Now, the Texans come to town next week. It's a winnable game again, so I'm not gonna be too low on this, okay? But when you look around the division, the Vikings take on the Eagles. Coming up. But everybody's 1-1. Detroit handled their business against Washington today, and now the Packers beat the Bears, so they're 1-1. Detroit's 1-1. The Bears are 1-1. And the Vikings go into Philly, I believe, and they're 1-0. So either the Vikings are going to come out at the top, or everybody's going to be split for going into week 3. Looking around the league, when we look at some of the things around the league, one thing I touched on, and if you guys been following us, I said it. Trey Lance I felt like the 49ers were going to need Jimmy Garoppolo.
You didn't know it was going to be this early.
I didn't know it was going to be this early, but I always said in 4 to 6 weeks we will know. In 4 to 6 weeks we will know. Here it is, we're going into week 3. Jimmy Garoppolo gets into the game in week 2, playing against the Seahawks, and has to lead them finish the game, and they end up winning the game. Now, it's going to be some interesting things going on in San Fran in the next year or two.
Yeah, we touched on this before. I mean, you mortgaged the whole future for Trey Lance. You moved up, 1 pick to get him, and you traded assets away to get him. Now you're in a situation where you back to Jimmy G, who just took you to the NFC Championship the prior year, who has a Super Bowl appearance on his resume on your team. If Jimmy G does what Jimmy G does, let's just say he gets him to the divisional round. and Trey Lance comes back next year, and is he going to be ready for the start of the season? You know how that whole thing is going to go. What do you do in that scenario? Do you trade Trey Lance? Because I think that's got to be what you're looking at this scenario. The 49ers are good enough to win the Super Bowl right now.
They are. A lot of people might think they are better with Jimmy Garoppolo because of his experience.
Exactly.
Because Trey Lance was an experiment.
Exactly.
It was an experiment. And I mean, now that he's injured and he's out for the season, he had an ankle injury, and they say he's going to need surgery. They say it's a season-ending injury. So now it's like, who's going to... Now, the backup situation again is just as important. Trey Lance being out again. Now Jimmy G going to get an opportunity to display his talents again in San Fran. I still consider them a playoff team. Point blank, when it's all said and done, the 49ers got a hell of a situation on their hand at quarterback.
You know what it reminds me of? Jared Goff and the LA Rams. They went to the Super Bowl, didn't get it done, and they saw that Jared Goff was not the guy. And that window with that team started to close, what did they do? They traded to go get the veteran quarterback. He comes in, Matt Stafford, and they win the Super Bowl. Well, in this case, you already got the veteran guy on your team that can do that for you. So I can very well see a scenario where they just cut bait with Trey. I'm not saying they cut him, but they trade him and try and get some of them assets back.
Yeah, I can see it too. The future at quarterback in San Francisco is really still up in the air. Pretty much is what we get into. It's going to be interesting to see. Like you say again, I thought it would happen, but I didn't know it would happen this early. But I knew. I just felt like with looking at how Trey Lance, looking at all the hits he took against the Bears, I felt like he wouldn't last too long taking that many hits. Now, a broken ankle, I didn't think, but maybe not a season-ending injury, but I felt like he'd get injured significantly enough to miss some games. But now here it is, he's going to miss the rest of the season with the ankle injury. We go get around the league a little bit more. We got the Texans coming in next week. They are 0-1 because I think they tied up. They tied with the Colts in week 1. And today, who did they play? They lost today. They lost to the Broncos.
To Russell Wilson and Sierra today.
They lost to the Broncos today. That's an interesting scenario in itself because Denver beat them 16-9, not a lot of points. And when Russell left Seattle, all you kept hearing about was let Russ cook. Let Russ cook. Now, when you consider the point production between week 1 and week 2, he goes in Seattle and he loses to his old team. Didn't put up a lot of points.
16.
And today they put up 16. They lost. So, I mean, I don't think Russ is doing any more cooking in Denver as he was doing in Seattle.
Well, I think they'll be okay. I mean, they got a talented team around. I mean, it's a first time head coach. But
that might be the problem.
Yeah, they got the pieces around him. He's got Jerry Jeudy. He's got KJ Hamler from Penn State. I forget the other. Is it Copeland? I forget the other wide receiver's name. But he has a solid team around. That defense is pretty solid. We already know Russ is going to go to the Hall of Fame when he finishes playing. So they'll be okay. They just got to figure that out. But right now they just seem to be stuck on Sweet 16. That's their favorite though.
Yeah, but I think they're going to have to score way more than 16 points to get to the playoffs. But they 1-1. And then you go to some of the other earlier matchups, which was Tampa Bay and New Orleans, and it's another game, but I don't think Tampa Bay won that game because of Tom Brady. Tom Brady, to a degree, he struggled early in the game. I think he played mistake-free football, if I'm not mistaken. But just playing well enough, not trying to win the game because of Tom Brady. And the defense found a way to get some turnovers and score some points. And that was the difference in this football game. And this is what I mean when you talk about not putting all the pressure on your quarterback to win a football game. And we talking about a Hall of Famer right there. Just find a way to win the football game.
And you know what? The Buccaneers Saints matchup over the last few years is kind of reminiscent of, remember when Ray Lewis was on the Ravens and they played the Steelers and how that hitting was, and that was must-see TV for football. It's kind of that type. It ain't that level, but you know, it's a lot of animosity between them two teams. Tom Brady really can't seem to figure out the Saints for whatever reason in the Superdome. But he pulled it out today. He had one fumble on a botched snap, but after that melee happened. He threw the touchdown to Perryman, who was on the Bears roster, and then after that, Jameis Winston turned into Jameis Winston 3 interceptions later, and it was over. So,
and it's interesting that you say when you bring up the melee between Lattimore and
Mike Evans. Yeah.
Okay, now I heard a lot about this so-called rivalry between the Buccaneers and the Saints, and I never really thought much of it. I mean, because the Bucks haven't really been a contender until Tom got that. So, but after seeing that brawl break out, I'm like, okay, if it wasn't a rivalry then, it's most definitely a rivalry now, especially while Tom Brady is there, because the expectations to win for him, and then the expectations to beat Tom for the Saints. So we can call it a rivalry now, because now for sure they got to meet one more time in Tampa.
Yeah, and Mike Evans and Lattimore, they haven't liked each other. I mean, that go back to when Jameis Winston was on the Buccaneers. They got into it over Jameis Winston before, so they go back a little bit of ways. And I know, like I said, Tom Brady's first year, the first game he played versus Drew Brees in the Superdome, they lost. Saints come to Tampa, and they blew him off the field on, I think it was a Sunday night game. So Tom's had the last laugh because he got a Lombardi trophy since he's been down there. But when those two teams get together, get your popcorn ready, sit down and watch that.
Yeah, it wasn't all that exciting to me, but I mean, nevertheless, the Bears was playing the nightcap, so I just wanted to see a good game. And I guess it'll do for 12 o'clock start, but I didn't understand the rivalry until today. And once I saw that, I said, okay, it's on. When they go to Tampa, it's going to take on a whole nother dimension, especially if you could get New Orleans to win a few games between now and then. And then Baltimore and Miami. I mean,
You give up 21 points?
I did not think that Baltimore would lose that game, but this is the thing. Why wasn't Baltimore able to finish this game? Now, I'm willing to bet if you take a look at the rushing statistics, they couldn't run the damn football to protect that lead.
Well, I know Lamar Jackson went over 100 today.
Yeah, but that's the quarterback.
Yeah, he went over 100 rushing. Let me pull up the rushing stats for you. So Lamar Jackson, 9 carries, 119. Justice Hill, 3 carries, 16 yards. Kenyon Drake, 6 carries, 8 yards. Patrick Ricard, 1 carry, 5 yards. Mike Davis, 5 carries, 4 yards. And Mark Andrews, 1 carry, 3 yards. So there you go.
So what it comes down to, when you're winning by more than two touchdowns, you have to be able to run that football to kill some clock and protect that lead. Now, I'm pretty sure when Lamar was running, matter of fact, he had one big play where he took it to the house. I saw the highlights. But I'm pretty sure when he was running the football, he was running the football to move the chains. Mm-hmm. Now, but in between that, when you get 2 or 3 scores up, you should take the pressure off of your quarterback. And until Baltimore can establish some weapons, either in the backfield or on the perimeters, they're going to see this quite often throughout the season, where they cannot, keep teams at bay with the running game, and the defense might be on the field quite a bit and getting tired and end up losing the game. This was a game they should not have lost today.
Yeah, I mean, will we rank Tua as a quarterback in the league? I'm sure middle of the pack to lower third. He had 6 touchdown passes today. Two,
one of them was to the cheetah I seen, but
oh yeah, he had 11 catches for 190. Jalen Waddle had 11 catches for 171. I mean, when you just look at that, you think they blew somebody off of the field. They won 42-38.
But you're looking at them two very talented guys, though. I mean, the cheetah and Jalen Waddle, an upstart young player in the league, and to have Tariq Hill on the other side of him, I mean, you're going to have to pretty much pick your poison. And I didn't see the game, but it's interesting to wonder how many of them plays were yak plays, where you catch the ball, run after catch.
I'm sure they will.
I'm pretty sure a lot. And see, that's what I'm saying. When you get those guys in space, they're pretty dangerous. And I believe, like I said, you got to be able to run the football if nothing else to keep them off the field.
The bottom line is, if you up 21, you cannot. You cannot. The Dolphins scored 28 points in the fourth quarter.
That can't happen. And the only way that can happen, the only way you can stop that from happening, is the defense getting off the field for one, and the offense being able to possess the ball long enough to kill the clock. And you look going on further before we wrap up. That wasn't the only come from behind victory today, because I think New York, the Jets had a come from behind victory. Flacco threw victory,
Flacco
4 touchdowns.
He looked like playoff Joe Flacco. That was a come from behind victory. The Cardinals, they stunk it up in the first half, and they came back and won in overtime versus the Raiders. I almost called them the Oakland Raiders, the Vegas Raiders.
Yeah.
They ended up winning 29-23. Kyler Murray, big plays at the end. He had to have them. He had to have them, and he got them. So shout out to Kyler Murray. But it was some really good games that we saw today. A great week too. Unfortunately, we didn't come out on the right side of things. Yeah. But overall, it was an entertaining week too. We still got a couple more games to go to close out the weekend. But as a fan of the league, Cooper Rush, we forgot about him.
Hey, we got a couple things. We got a couple games that we can talk about. You talk about Dallas Cowboys struggling. They didn't even score a touchdown in week 1.
Mm-hmm.
The offensive touchdown, and Cooper Rush go out there and score on his first 2 possessions, I believe. But it was all established through the running game. I think they mixed it up. They gave him a good. They gave him a good strategy to play in, and he was productive. Now, the question is, Cooper Rush continue to play well. Now, we know they didn't put Dak on the injured reserve, so they expected him to be back within a month, under a month's time. So, Cooper Rush goes out and he's winning football games and establishing chemistry with these receivers. I mean, kind of the same situation we got in San Fran, where maybe you don't want to pull Cooper Rush off the field because he's got a rhythm, he's got chemistry.
Yep.
Okay.
I mean, and if you look at the 2 previous Dallas Cowboys quarterbacks, how they got the job, Tony Romo replaced Drew Bledsoe. He was the backup. Dak Prescott replaced Tony Romo. So it just might be, and I know he's had 2 starts, which he's won both of them in big spots. It may be way too early to say, but you can definitely see the cards lining up for it to be a quarterback controversy in Big D, and the fact that Jerry Jones gave Dak all that money, and I don't think he's very happy with the production he's getting for that money.
And
it might be a situation at the start, as they call it.
And just think about it. Cooper Rush. Just say that name a few times. Cooper Rush. Sounds kind of like it could be iconic at some point in time. So, all I can say is, if he continues to win football games, now don't get me wrong too, because you got to give it up to Pollard and Zeke establishing the run game, the O-line and all that. See, and I think what happens is, when you go to your backup, you get a little bit more conservative with your play call, then the running game shines. And hell, Zeke, I think in the past few years, they gave Dak the money and they kind of like didn't put Zeke in the best positions. They didn't expect much from him. But don't get me wrong, because I think Zeke didn't come into camp at times. I don't think he came in camp at the best shape, But bottom line is, you got to run the football to win. And today, they went conservative, and Cooper Rush was able to make some plays.
Yeah, I mean, 24 carries between Zeke and Tony Pollard, about 96 yards. Cooper Rush 19 out of 31 for 235. I mean, and his receivers, I said last week, Dallas might have the worst wide receiving core next to the Green Bay Packers. Well, Noah Brown had 5 catches, 91 yards, and a touchdown today. CeeDee Lamb, 7 for 75. Schultz chipped in. He had 2 big catches. Tony Pollard had 4 for 55 yards. So, again, if Cooper Rush can do this with these guys, Dak Prescott, we paying you a whole lot more money than Cooper Rush. Why you can't do it? So just keep your eye on that. Watch the game. Watch us, view us. Keep your eye on that. You heard it here first. It might be a situation in Big D.
Okay, New York, undefeated, 2-0. They beat Carolina today, 19-16. So there's another team that had a lot of momentum off of victory coming into week 2, much like our Bears. But on the other hand, today, they took care of business. They got another win, and now they're 2-0. Pittsburgh, New England went into Pittsburgh and got a win, and 17-14 was the end of that score. As I watched that game, all I could think of was making the point that you're not going to win because of Mitchell Trubisky. Now, he didn't play horrible, but he did have a turnover. He had an interception today. But looking down the road, Pittsburgh will not be successful if they can't run the football. And if you listen to me, it's a bit repetitive because I only think there's a few special quarterbacks in the NFL. And I definitely think there's only a few quarterbacks that cannot win. Or that I think 28 out of 32 teams absolutely need to be able to run the football. Everyone cannot just drop back and sling it and score 35 points, 40 points. You can't do it. So that's the great thing about the NFL. All phases have to work. Ultimate team game. You have to be able to run the football. That's your point. You have to be able to stop the run. You got to be able to balance it out with the pass. You get pass happy, chances are you're going to either wear your defense out or you're going to turn the ball over. One of the two. And the only team in the league that is really showing me that, like Buffalo, for instance, they don't have much of a running game established up to this point. But they got a guy making some spectacular plays at the position. So he's proven that he can make up for a little bit of the running game. But I'm willing to bet that if the Buffalo Bills don't establish their running game by the end of the season, they will struggle in a few games too.
Yeah, hey, like you said, it's only 4 of them. It's only 4 of them, and I think everybody needs to stop going with the trend and play to the strength of their team.
Yep.
But you know, it's
Quit
a copy.
falling so much in love with the pass. We know you have to pass the football to win football games. You have to be able to pass the ball to score points. But you protect leads.
And your defense.
Yeah, you protect the lead, and I'm glad you said it. You protect the lead. You protect the lead, and you also give your defense an opportunity to rest while you're establishing the run game. Don't fall in love with the points or so much with the passing yards. You just need to be productive and efficient. That's pretty much in a nutshell with football. You got to be able to set this up to get that. I think to touch back on our Bears, prime example with the 2 games with 2 legendary quarterbacks, 1 football game with defense. We talk about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Tom Brady. running game when you talk about the Packers and Aaron Rodgers. Just follow the formula. And by the way, Bill Belichick figured out a way to win today too. I mean, he went out there, his quarterback didn't play exactly well. He coached his guys up well enough to just go into Pittsburgh and steal a game. Okay? It's the ultimate team sport. 33 guys looking to get a win. Point blank. Point blank. The Bears be back next week. I believe the Bears gonna beat the Texans. I'm picking about 14. So I believe the Texans are going to come out with the intention to get turnovers next week. So you're going to get two turnover-happy teams looking to accomplish a lot of the same goals. The Bears still going to have to be able to stop the run because I think they will explode it tonight.
And Lovey going to be looking for some get back because you know he still got to feel some way about getting a raw deal, about getting let go by the Bears. So expect the Texans to come in motivated for their coach. And we're going to see. I'm not picking the Bears by 14. I'm not going to do that. But I think we'll win. I think we'll win next week.
I'm picking them by 2 touchdowns because I just believe that we have enough. I think David Montgomery is going to be a playmaker next week. I think we're going to find. I'm still looking for Cole Kmet. And I don't expect Justin to make too many mistakes. So I'm picking the Bears by 14.
Well, I'm gonna just say we're gonna have more points than the Texans.
Okay, I take that. A win is a win is a win. You had it here first. Join us, subscribe, and share. Watch the Game podcast.